Daredevil Born Again just dropped episodes 5 and 6, and these episodes had some of the strongest tension and action so far, in my opinion. We got an intense hostage situation, some solid fight choreography, and a terrifying reveal about Muse, but there were also a few moments that felt unnecessary, like the Miss Marvel connection and a certain random cameo. Let's break it all down. The hostage situation in episode 5 was handled really well. The robbers felt like real people rather than generic throwaway villains, and the tension was built up effectively. The dialogue worked for the most part, except for Detective Kim's joke to Jesse. It was way too long and didn't really land. It felt like they were trying to add some levity, but it didn't really fit the scene's tone. The interactions between Matt and Mr. Khan were fine, but I don't really like bringing Daredevil into Miss Marvel's world. There was no real reason for these characters to be connected. It felt more like a forced attempt to cross-promote Miss Marvel than anything meaningful for the story. This is Daredevil's world, and I wanted to stay separate from that side of the MCU. What did work was the fight choreography. Matt's hand-to-hand combat with Jesse felt raw and grounded, with minimal CGI. The action felt like a return to classic Daredevil, fluid but gritty and not overproduced. Overall, the episode used its time well, with no wasted scenes. One thing I really appreciated about episode 6 was the opening with Matt saying a Catholic prayer. His faith has been downplayed in Born Again so far, so seeing it return, even in small moments, always adds depth to his character, and ending the episode with a prayer was a nice way to bookend things. Now, the weirdest moment in this episode, Swordsman. Out of all the characters they could bring in, I did not expect him to show up at Kingpin's event, and now he's apparently a vigilante in Hell's Kitchen? When did that happen? And more importantly, why? If like another unnecessary MCU cameo that doesn't really serve the story. Another element introduced in this episode was the anti-vigilante task force. I'm curious to see how well or badly this plays out. Something tells me not everyone on that team is going to stick with it. There's definitely potential for someone to turn on Kingpin, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see betrayals down the line. Now let's talk about Muse, easily the most disturbing part of these episodes. The reveal that he's been using real human bodies for his art was chilling. The sheer number of victims, over 60 people, was insane. And the fact that the NYPD somehow didn't notice that many people missing is wild. But it really reinforces just how terrifying Muse is as a villain. His fight with Matt was solid, though the choreography started off a little bit awkward. Luckily, it picked up as the fight went on. We saw parts of this in the trailers, but they didn't spoil too much, which was a good call. One of the coolest sequences in this episode was the way they cut between Matt's fight with Muse and Kingpin's fight with Vanessa's lover, Adam. It was a great way to show both men embracing their true selves again. Daredevil taking down a monster, and Kingpin reasserting his dominance. That said, while I liked seeing Kingpin go all out in this fight, I still feel like he needs to put some of the blame on Vanessa for what happened. She's not innocent in this, and if Fisk is really getting back to his old self, I doubt he let that slide. Episodes 5 and 6 had some of the best action and tension so far in Born Again. The hostage scenario was strong, the fights felt real, and Muse's reveal added a much-needed sense of horror. But the random MCU tie-ins and cameos continue to feel forced. What did you think? Did you like how they're handling Muse? And what do you think about Swordsman suddenly being in Hell's Kitchen? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.